Hello everyone, my name is ephiepen, not to be confused with the life-saving pen that you will sometimes stab yourself with. And today I drew Kikuri and Bocchi from the series Bocchi the Rock. Yay! So I started off with thumbnailing a couple of composition ideas. Originally it was going to just be a piece focusing on Kikuri, but I didn't really like any of the initial thumbnails that I did until I got to the fifth one, which you see here. This scene is actually directly based off of episode, I believe, 7 of Bocchi the Rock, where Bocchi meets Kikuri for the very first time. And so after deciding the composition I wanted to draw, I move on to the sketching stage and who's that? A 3D model! Yes, I use 3D models to help me draw sometimes. My anatomy is not the best, and sometimes it's really difficult to look for specific references, and sometimes you really just don't feel like setting up the camera and taking photos of yourself, especially when you're in your pajamas that are very body concealing, making it very difficult to figure out where exactly your joints start and end. I got the model in the position that I wanted. It was finally time to actually start sketching for real. So I started with Kikuri. She's, of course, the main focus of this piece. The thing that I ran into with the sketch in particular is that the 3D model is a lot bigger than Kikuri is built. I had to make sure I sized her proportions down. Another challenging thing about Kikuri that I noticed while I was sketching, and you can't really tell so far because I just did a rough shape of it, but braids are really difficult to get exact. Even now, it's been like 10 or 11 years since I started drawing at this point, but braids are still really difficult to get exact because I just run out of patience partway through, and then the shapes just start getting really, really weird looking. Now the sketch is done. Yay! That means the drawing is over. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Just kidding. There's more. We have to draw Bocchi. Yeah, you saw Bocchi in the composition, right? She's right there. Looks just like her, right? And that's it. The sketch is actually done now. There you go. This is the official sketch of this piece. It doesn't look that bad, but of course it needs a little bit of polishing, you know what I mean? So we move on to the line art. Yay! So the brush that I'm using for the line art, I believe is called the SU Cream Pencil, which I downloaded off of the Clip Studio Asset Store. I think it was for free. I think it should still be for free, so if you have Clip Studio Paint and you'd like to use it, feel free. It's not my brush, I didn't make it. I don't actually know who made it, but it should be in the store. I like it a lot. It's a really great line art brush, and it's also a great texture for coloring, which I use sometimes. So my goal for line art is really just to tighten everything up and make it more clean and ready to go to color on. The sketch is typically very loose and just getting your ideas down, but in a more clean way compared to the thumbnailing. But then the line art is where you really tighten everything up and get it ready to go for your final rendering process. Something I struggled with right away is I realized that her veins are perfectly straight across at the top. I don't really like to draw straight across veins like that. I typically struggle with it. So this time I remembered a technique that I saw a couple years ago. I don't remember who it was. Somebody posted a hair tutorial and included this trick where you draw a straight across line on the forehead where you want the veins to rest, and then you draw along the line and just kind of erase in between strands of hair. to make it look like bangs. And at first I really didn't like what I did because it just looked really silly, but you just have to play with it a little bit and like get the line weight correct. I think in the end it looked really good. It looked just like Kikuri's bangs. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking for a little bit. You can just enjoy the line. So I did not use a reference for any of the clothing, which, if you can, you should always use references, but I get lazy sometimes, so I didn't use a reference. You can't tell, right? Wink. A little backstory. I've always wanted like a varsity style jacket. I don't know if this is like an American high school thing, but when I was in high school, I was so jealous of the people in my class who had varsity jackets that were like official school merchandise. But you couldn't just buy one. You had to qualify for it by being classified as varsity in sports. And I didn't want to be in any sports, so I kind of just sucked it up and was jealous of my classmates. When I saw this beautiful, lightweight varsity jacket at a thrift store, I bought it right away. So I ended up using that as a reference a whole year later. I started to do Bocchi, and at some point I realized I could not do this without a 3D model because, you know, as you can see, her head is like weirdly big and just her proportions are not the best. So I had to call in the help of our friend, the 3D model. Really struggling to get it to do what I want. I have a confession to make. I'm really bad with perspective. I know. And you might be thinking, Effie, you're going to art school. What do you mean you're bad at perspective? I don't get it. And there you go, the new rough sketch of Bocchi has a lot more character to it. Originally she was supposed to be further off the screen, but I decided that whatever, she can be part of it. It's okay. Oh, I have to explain this. So very briefly, you can see that I pulled up references of cats in their side profiles. That's because at the time I was scrolling through Twitter and I think I saw a post about how apparently anime girls are like very heavily based off of cat facial structures. So I wanted to give it a shot. I don't think I ended up following it exactly, but you know, my side profile looked pretty good in this drawing, so it is what it is. And so around this point, I ended up having to use the help of another friendly 3D model because I realized that there is something in this image that is in my top 3 weaknesses of things I'm bad at drawing, and that is guitars. I realized Bocchi doesn't wear a backpack. She wears her guitar, and I was like, oh no. So I just used a 3D model. Line art is all done, yay! I think base coloring is really boring, so we're just gonna quickly, bam. Wow, that was so fast! We're starting the coloring process, and since I'm being recorded, I decided to actually care about the lighting and where I put things. So I started off by pointing an arrow in the direction of where the sunlight would be coming in. From there, I placed the shadows the opposite way to indicate through the rendering itself where the shadows are. And the brush that I'm using for all of this coloring would be the Paint and Apply brush. So this brush very well might not exist anymore, but it does come with the program if you're interested in using it. I don't really have much else to say about the coloring, so just go ahead and watch. So Kikuri's all done now. I'm going to now focus my attention onto Bocchi. Bocchi has more shadows to her. I actually intentionally did this. I wanted the light to be more focused on Kikuri versus Bocchi because I believe Kikuri is like a light in Bocchi's life. She's very much her mentor in a way because she gives Bocchi a lot of advice and a really good push in the right direction. Originally, I wasn't going to include a background to this piece, but I decided very last minute, might as well. Because so far, I'm not really sure you totally get the context of where and when this piece is taking place without a background. And as I said earlier, my perspective skills are not the best, so I just kind of eyeballed it and did my best. And when I realized things weren't really going well, I decided, oh, well, I can just blur it out, and then nobody will know. So after adding the final touches to this piece, I am done. This is the final outcome of my Bocchi piece. Overall, I really like it. I think it's pretty good for the amount of time that I spent on it. I believe I spent roughly 5 hours on this piece. Looking back, perspective really isn't the greatest on this piece. So in hindsight, I think I would have used actual photo references or stuck the models onto the same grid so that they could interact on the same plane. I found Kikuri in particular to be really fun to draw, so I'm hoping to draw her again in the future. I actually have a video idea in mind for her. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that maybe you learned something from it, or maybe you just enjoyed watching it. I hope to make more like this in the future, and I also hope to make more art videos in general on this channel, so if you're interested in that, please subscribe. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch more Ace Attorney now. See you later.